Hey folks, how's it going? Plastic Guy here, coming back with another figure review, and today we're taking a look at two of the latest Marvel Legends from the Across the Spider-Verse line. I think these two are definitely the strongest, most interesting figures in this wave. Spider-Man India for me was a character I wanted to get in figure form as soon as I seen that film. I think he was really strong, a really fun character in the movie, and Figuarts of course released their version of this character for around that, I think it was between 60 and 70 pounds, and so I did hold off. I was willing to pick it up, but I held off from buying it straight away, hoping for the likes of a Marvel Legends, and I'm glad that I did, because for the £20 price point this is a really great figure, and we'll get into that in a sec. I think Marvel Legends have beat the other figure companies to the punch with their version of Miles the Prowler here. Again, for this £20 price point, I think this is a really strong figure. I think Marvel Legends have done this character justice, and we have yet to get a version of this character from any of the other figure companies, the likes of Figuarts and so on. And so I definitely want to take a closer look at these two guys in this video right here. I have posed these guys round quite a bit, and I think they are two great figures that I want to look at here on the channel. So let's not wait any longer, let's jump right into it, and we'll take a closer look at the packaging first, starting with, I'm not going to try and read that. I mean, yeah, I've seen the film, I do know how it's pronounced, but I am not going to make a fool of myself here on camera. Marvel Legends series on the bottom left here, we've got Miles and Gwen, Spider-Man 2099 there, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. We would have seen the figure here. We get the title card logo down at the bottom, and then at the back we get a picture of the figure looking pretty damn good, if I do say so. And then here is the rest of the wave, and it is a really interesting wave overall. Again, I do think these two are the strongest in it, but this Peter Parker figure actually looks great. I kind of regret not picking it up, but at the same time I keep telling myself that I do have the Sentinel version and I don't really need the £20 Marvel Legends one. But a really strong comic Spider-Man figure in my eyes. You then get this kind of reissue, recolor of Spider-Punk. Great looking alternative head sculpts, but him being all purple just isn't really appealing to me. Spider-Man 2099, I can assure you, does not look like he looks in this picture here. He looks like a straight up vampire. A lot of greys going on with the skin tone, and yeah, again, wasn't very appealing to me, especially when we've looked at the CT Toys version here on the channel. Much better figure in my eyes. Spider-Gwen, we took a look at the original Spider-Man Gwen released with the first Across the Spider-Verse wave, and this Miles again looks like a really strong Spider-Man figure, but for me, too little too late. I think we should have got this with the first film and not, you know, years later, just using kind of reused parts and stuff. So wasn't enough for me to pick that up either. Having a quick look at the Miles Prowler figure packaging, pretty much the exact same but with a different title here. Then on the back we get this better picture of the figure. I absolutely love this head sculpt, which we'll look at. And yeah, that's about it. Jumping into the figures, we get a few interchangeable parts and accessories. With Spider-Man India, we get this web line holding hand, and that's for his left arm. And we also get this clobbering time fisted hand for his right arm. In the figure at the moment, he has a web line holding hand in his right arm and this flat open hand in the left arm. I do wish we did get another flat open hand for his other arm, and also another clobbering time fisted hand, but it's kind of the way Marvel Legends is going. It's quite inconsistent with these interchangeable hands. We're getting one of each sometimes, we're getting pairs with other figures. This time around it's one of each, but it's not the end of the world. We get this web line with the yo-yo on it, and this is great. I have really enjoyed posing this with the figure for photos. I'm still having trouble with Instagram, not able to post up over there at the moment, just problems with the aspect ratio. So I have a lot of pictures with these figures waiting to go up over there. Made use of this quite a bit, but they are not going to see the light of day until Instagram sort the app out. And then with our Prowler Miles, we get, we first of all get this alternative head sculpt, and this is really nice. I think both the head sculpts on this figure are great. This is probably my least favourite out of the two. I love the look of the masked head sculpt, but this is up there. You know, this isn't really, it's not inferior by any means. I think the hair sculpt here is excellent. I love how this looks, and the face printing technology looks pretty spot on. I think this is really accurate to the film, and I've had fun using this on the figure. Everything's applied very well here. I do not have any complaints, and I'm glad that we do get an alternative head sculpt with the figure. And yeah, moving on, we then get a bit less with the Prowler figure, although I have forgotten that the backpack is removable. So this comes separate with the figure. I do have it on the figure because it doesn't really get in the way of anything. I think it could easily have just been sculpted on the figure, but I suppose it's cool to have it as a removable option. I don't even really know what's going on here, but it is a cool design. You know, you've got those sculpted details in, I mean, are these handles? Again, I'm not too sure what's going on here, but cool style of backpack that can come off the figure, and I've got it ported on, and I'm just going to keep it on for the most part. We then get these alternative hands, one for his left arm that looks like he could hold something, and a fisted hand for his right arm. Ported into the figure are two more sprawled open finger wide hands. I said that in the total wrong order, but yeah, some open hands in his arms at the moment. Taking a closer look at these figures, well, let's just stick with Miles, and again, I've forgotten the alternative head sculpt. Before we move on to Miles, we get this alternative head sculpt, and honestly, this thing kind of sold me on this figure as a whole. I think this looks excellent. I love how cool this looks. Miles looks absolutely killer in this style with those long sort of dreads round the back. I think the hairstyle is amazing here, and it looks great in figure form all round the head here. This is immaculate. The facial expression, pretty standard. There's not too much expression going on here. He looks pretty relaxed. I will say, taking pictures with this thing, it was hard for the camera to really focus in on his face and get a nice clean picture, but in hand, this thing looks sick. Now, as I said, this was something that really sold me on this figure. I love the look of this head sculpt, and I thought that would be cool to put on our previous Miles Morales Marvel Legends figure, just to remind you. This is what it looked like with the original head sculpt here, and I was a big fan of this figure. I think it got a lot of unnecessary hate. Yes, it's not 100% movie accurate. I think Marvel Legends jumped the gun. Biggest flaw for me was this back logo. That is pretty hideous, but I loved the alternative head sculpt, and I really wanted to use this new Miles head sculpt on the figure, and it works. It does work, but it doesn't pour on. You can see the ball peg on this is pretty small, and it requires something a lot bigger. So if you use a bit of blue tack, white tack, whatever you use, it will work. You can get this thing on the figure, and I think it looks pretty damn cool. It's a really good look for Miles. But of course, going back to the figure it originally came with, we get the Prowler version here, and this alternative head sculpt is awesome. I think the colours all over this figure really pop. It's really vibrant, and that's really evident in this head sculpt here. You get those pink eyes sculpted really nicely. I love this sort of gas mask look, and again you get this really cool hairstyle running throughout the figure here. I have not noticed this wee scuff before. Let's see if that will come off. I got most of it off there, probably my fault, but yeah, really cool head sculpt, comes off and on really easily, and then the rest of the figure I think just looks killer. Again, we have that backpack that I have just kept on the figure, and it worked really well with all the poses I got this guy into. The articulation on this thing is pretty impressive for, again, a £20 figure. The ab crunch here is great. Get them right far forward, they'll go really far back. The biggest flaw for me on both of these figures is the lack of butterfly joints. I really think that would take these to the next level, and both of the figures are missing some butterfly joint articulation there, so his arms aren't really going to move towards his chest at all. But you do get, it's a bit of a single jointed elbow, to be honest. The articulation isn't fantastic with the Prowler, but again, I have managed to get him in a lot of cool poses. So you get this sort of single jointed elbow hindered by some of his costume here. These pads warp a fair bit. If I had this guy in a pose for quite a while, these bits would stick out, and that was something I noticed. But yeah, they're soft plastic, you can move them around a fair bit. There is not really any articulation in the wrist area. Well, yeah, in the wrist area, but not in the forearm. I cannot speak. There's articulation in the wrist area, but none in that forearm there. It will move backwards and forwards as well. You can turn him at the waist. He does have this utility belt, and again, doesn't really get in the way. I do really like these straps that drop down. And apart from the range of movement we spoke about, I think everything in the leg area is pretty damn good. You get these double jointed knees, upper thigh articulation. You can get this guy in some cool poses. I really like the shoes here. I think these look great again with the colour scheme on them. They really pop. You've got some light blue here on the shins. Some more detail down the side here. This thing looks great. It is a lot of fun. I think the sculpt is excellent, and again, Marvel Legends releasing their version of this character for, I think, £22 retail. I do not feel the need to pick up any other versions. If Figuarts were to make a version, I am really happy with the Marvel Legends. And with that being said, I think the same comments go for Spidey over here. I absolutely love this head sculpt here. Again, the hair sculpted around the mask I think looks absolutely fantastic. There's not too much sculpted detail on this figure at all, but the paint application is spot on. I really like the design of the mask here. It's pretty clean. The one thing I noticed well after I was posing this guy around was there is some scuffage in that chest logo here. You can just see it at the end of my figure, at the end of my finger. It's late, but yeah, some scuffage in that chest logo, but apart from that, you can see there's a wee mark there on his chest as well. That could be from posing, but yeah, everything's pretty clean. There's just not really much sculpted detail going on. A lot of printed parts on this figure. You can see it in the arm up at the top, in the bicep area here. We do have these golden bands which are sculpted, and these look great. Again, makes the figure pop a fair bit. I do like the waist, what would you call this? The waist thing here that kind of drops down. That looks really cool in mid-air poses. You also get the, I don't know what this was called again. It's been a while since I've seen the film, but the thing that they used to teleport about, we get it here on the figure. And be wary when you're swapping the hands over. Both this gauntlet and this multiverse traveling thing can pop off. In the legs here, we do get some sculpted detail on those shorts, and I do like the paint there as well. And I really like how everything looks on this figure. I think the feet are really good looking as well. That sounded a bit weird, but yeah, it looks good for the character. When you've got this guy in some mid-air poses, overall he looks pretty sick. Now I will say the range of movement on this figure is a lot of fun when you're posing this guy around. You've got this sort of, do they call it a dumbbell hinge or something? I'm not too sure, but you've got this joint right at the bottom of the waist here that you can get a good crunch on, and then you also get it at the lower chest area. So he does get this big crunch forward. You can see the logo on the back there, and it will go right back as well, and that's came in really handy when you want to get this guy into some more dynamic poses. Not like that, but you know, if I was to keep posing him around, you can see where I'm going there. And also maybe why there is some scuffage on this thing, but you also get the drop down legs, which is really cool. Everything is pinless, and so again, for £20, I think this is a great figure. It is a lot of fun. You can get him in some great poses. He looks exactly like he does to me in the film. The biggest flaw for me, again, is the lack of butterfly joints. I think this thing would have really benefited from being able to get his hands and arms a lot closer into his chest there. But apart from that, I got this thing and the Prowler into all the poses that I wanted them to. So to compare our new Across the Spider-Verse figures to some others in the collection, here are two of the previous Spider-Verse figures that we've looked at on the channel. We've got Miles Morales and the Prowler, this one being from the first film and this of course being from the same film as these two. The Prowler was gifted to me from my uncle and I'm so glad that I got this figure because I would have slept on this thing if I hadn't gotten it as a gift, and I love this figure. We took a look at it on the channel back in the day, and what I like most about it is the colours, and I love to see this mix of Miles and the Prowler to get Miles Prowler here. I think it's really cool, especially seeing them next to each other in figure form, and I do think they fit in to these this lineup pretty well. You know, we've got Uncle Aaron as the Prowler, who is an adult. He is much taller than these teenagers here to the left of them, and I think these do all scale really well with one another, and Marvel Legends are giving us some really great Spider-Verse figures. Again, for that price point, I don't think you can complain. Bring in another couple of standard Marvel Legends figures. We've got a Renew Your Vows Spidey and the animated series retro carded Spider-Man here on the AF-15 mold, and we can see that our Spider-Man India and Miles Prowler are slightly smaller than our standard Marvel Legends. For another Spider-Verse figure comparison, we've got our CT Toys Spider-Man 2099 on the left, and for a different Miles figure we've got the Gamerverse Marvel Legends PS4 Spidey, and I think the CT Toys again scales fairly well with the Marvel Legends. Of course Miguel was a much bulkier, bigger character, and that's what we're seeing here with the CT next to the Marvel Legends. And so there we have it for our two latest Marvel Legends Across the Spider-Verse action figures, and I think these two are really great for that £22 price point. I would not hesitate to pick up both of these guys. Again, there's slight things here and there. I do wish we got two open hands for Spider-Man India here. One thing I didn't mention was the joint on this hand is up and down, and having him hold the web yo-yo and posing this thing around, I did keep bending it forwards and backwards and probably could have broke that, and so it is worth remembering the hinge is a bit different on those interchangeable hands there. But apart from the lack of butterfly joints, I think both of these figures are a lot of fun. Overall, they look the part, they're affordable, and they pose really well. I've had a lot of fun of both of these characters and I am not disappointed. I'm glad that I've picked up the Marvel Legends versions. Not that there is any other version of the Prowler, but let me know what you guys think down in the comments section below. While you're down there guys, if you could do me a massive favour, hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, then please hit that subscribe button. I'm going to leave the link to my Instagram in the description below, and I am having a bit of a trouble at the moment posting up over there, but I do have a lot of pictures of these figures ready to go up and I can't wait for you guys to see them. I just can't wait to post them, and so yeah, I hope Instagram sort that out soon. Feel free to check out any of my other videos here on the channel. Click one of the ones that's going to pop up on the screen. It means a lot, and it means a lot that you've watched this video right here guys. So as always, thank you so much for watching, and as always, I'll catch yous on the flip flop later. Cheers.